And we're live with another episode of BS Busters. I'm joined by Julie Moonstar, and we have someone who's just here for a brief period of time. Hello, say hello, Trusk. All right, it's me, Mr. Red Fox. We have kind of a more chill cast tonight, mostly because I am fighting off a cold, so I don't think I'm gonna be able to do the whole hour and a half podcast. Well, I mean, I'm fighting off a cold, and like literally, normally before I do these, if I get, because normally I get up around 5:30, 6 o'clock every day, even on the weekends. Today I slept in, and I woke up, and I was just like, I was hawking up green stuff and yellow stuff, so and my throat hurts. I'm like, yeah, I'm coming down with something. And normally before I even do these casts, I get like a nice little like 30-40 minute nap. I took my 30-40 minute nap, and it's one of those things where I had to get up to do this cast, and I was like, oh shit, I don't want to get out of bed. I'm so comfortable. I could just go to sleep and sleep for like 8 or 9 hours. So I know I'm coming down with something. Hopefully it's not COVID. But with that being said, well, I mean, I haven't really gone around anyone to have COVID, and I wash my hands whenever I go outside, whenever I get, occasionally I do get fast food, but I wash my hands before I touch the fast food. I wash my hands after. I'm very careful. I use a mask. I practice social distancing. So I don't think it's that. I think it's just I have a cold. So, yeah. So with that being said, we have some goodies coming out tonight. This is the end of week cast. We're going to talk about Netflix's first Indian animated film. Is it a typical Bollywood drama? It deals with a child bride running away from her suitor and all that type of stuff. I'm like, God damn, this is a pretty hardcore shit right here. All right then, Trusk. See ya. Peace. So basically, the name of this thing is called Bombay Rose. It's hitting Netflix on December 4th. And here's a blurb of what the official summary is. It's escaping from a child marriage. A young club dancer living in the streets of Bombay must choose between fending for her family and finding love with a boy orphaned by the militancy. Painted frame by frame and woven delicately through music, A Red Rose brings together three tales of impossible loves. Love between a Hindu girl and a Muslim boy. Love between two women. Love in an entire city for its Bollywood stars. Based on true events, that means it's bullshit. The film explores the ruthlessness of a society where the love and life that reigns on the big screen can crush you in its mean streets. Damn, I might have to watch this. Uh, Well, I mean, the thing is that I'm one of those people who grew up watching adult animation. Now, when I say adult animation, I don't mean it was just like sex, although sex was in it. I mean, animation like stuff from Ralph Bakshi, Coonskin, and Ralph Bakshi also did the animation for Cool World. But like what Ralph Bakshi wanted to do with Cool World versus what the studio let him do with Cool World are two completely different things. Um, yeah, it's one of those things where they like because basically Ralph Bakshi is known for making like hardcore adult animation. Like there's gonna be his female characters are very physically attractive. He did he yeah. I think he also did Fritz the Cat, the first Fritz the Cat. So stuff like that where it deals with really kind of taboo subjects and like shit that a kid wouldn't understand, But if you go to a video store and you're a kid and you think cartoon equals kids, you're gonna get it and be like, oh, this is for kids. You're like, oh shit, this cartoon's doing drugs and fucking, you know, like stuff like that. Well, I mean, Cool World was later in his career. Fritz the Cat was the 70s when Ralph Bakshi was at the height of his creative powers and he could get stuff done. Like Coonskin, which is considered a cult classic, which is basically Ralph Bakshi's take on Brer Rabbit. And it actually, like, it has Scatman Crothers doing the main theme. Barry White does a voice of one of the characters. It's actually really good. But, I mean, you have to get past the fact that it uses racial stereotypes in a way to do a retelling of Brer Rabbit, which itself is kind of racist. Like, the Brer Rabbit story is kind of racist. Yeah, yeah, especially that zippity doodah bullshit from Disney. But I mean, I don't think this is going to be that point. But I mean, I like that there's places that are still trying to do adult animation. And when I say adult, I don't just mean the sex. I mean dealing with mature topics. Exactly, something that adults would be like, oh shit, yeah. Yeah, like okay, when I say adult animation, I don't mean like hentai or some shit like that. I mean like more like Sausage Party, which was I mean it was bordering. Sausage Party was bordering. It well, I mean you know it just. I mean I liked Sausage Party. Oh, it's a movie. It's feature length. It's 90 minutes. I wonder why we never got a sequel, but it's pretty good. I liked it. Like, here's the thing. Whenever they make an adult level animation, like whenever, because here's the thing. People have this misnomer that cartoons are for kids, forgetting that some of the best cartoons ever made appealed not only to kids, like Warner Brothers cartoons. They were shown before adult films, like films for adults, like westerns and dramas. They show a Warner Brothers cartoon. So the argument that oh this is for kids is laughable. Yeah, and some of the best cartoons of all time. Some of the best cartoons of all time were, yeah, they were for. I mean, you know, like I mean, Animaniacs. Animaniacs was great when the cartoons had references that kids could enjoy, but adults would get too. You know, it's always been like that. Like, I mean, in any product, when you talk down to your audience, that's not good. You know, it's the reason why Pixar and DreamWorks, when they're at their best, are great because they are making something that talks at multiple levels and not just, oh, this is for the little kids. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the best example for DreamWorks would be Shrek. Like the first Shrek, as a kid, you can watch it and be like, oh, this is a fun movie for kids. But as an adult, you can watch it and you're like, oh man, this whole movie is just shitting on that guy. Yeah, well, they spend a lot of time. Well, the prince is supposed to be Michael Eisner. That's or 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 not the prince. Lord Farquaad is supposed to be Michael Eisner, and the people who created DreamWorks really fucking hated Michael Eisner. So like that's why his name's Lord Farquaad, because if you say that fast, it's like calling him a fuckwad. So Lord Farquaad is like, yeah, well, she's like, well, when I meet Lord Farquaad, he's going to be a great man. And they're like, yeah, well, there are those who think little of him. It's like when you meet him, you'll have to do the measuring for yourself. Like all of it are dick jokes because they're also implying that he's overcompensating because he has a small penis. So yeah, the best comedy material is that doesn't just assume that its audience is just fucking morons, and you know, yeah, I agree with you. That is the best way to consume. So I'm looking forward to this Netflix animated thing. Well, it's an animated film. I'm liking that. Like I said, it's the reason I liked Deadpool. The first Deadpool was pretty good. The second Deadpool's not as good as the first one. Um, well, I already have Netflix, so I have the basic form of Netflix digital. I don't have the HDified version of it. Mostly because the way that I consume Netflix on my smart TV and my PC, it upreses it to HD anyway. So why the fuck should I pay Netflix to boost the signal? Yeah, I don't have that issue. So yeah, I don't like when I heard they're like we're raising the price. I'm like, yeah, well, I don't have your higher tier versions because I already get it upresed anyway because the nature of my television. It upreses all smart signals. It's not gonna look as good as if it were HDified anyway, but I'm like I most of the time I watch Netflix from my PC and I'm so close to the screen it doesn't matter. Like it's just not an issue. So for me, I was like, it sucks for the people who have to pay that, but like here's the thing: even though they're raising the price, it's still that's the price of a normal movie ticket if you don't get matinee at a lot of places. So for the price of one movie a month, you get access to thousands of movies and thousands of TV shows. So it's still a good deal. You know, yeah, but there's always some good shit that you can binge on Netflix. There's foreign films you can watch. Like I'm into J dramas and K dramas. You can watch those. There's always, hell, they recently added the Chappelle Show. Let me put it this way: they recently added all of Chappelle Show on Netflix. So right there, that's worth $15. Because if you had the Blu-ray collection of the Chappelle Show, you'd spend more than $15 on that shit, even now. So right there, Chappelle Show. But anyway, let's keep it moving. The Nintendo franchise that you feel could be the next Warriors crossover game. Go. How's it going, Kenoshi? We're fine. We're fine. So you just jumped in on our first video game topic. Go ahead. After Kingdom Battle, I don't want to play a Mario Warriors game. I just don't. I could see Donkey Kong in a Warriors game, but not Mario. And the only reason I could say that is because I played Donkey Kong 64, where Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong and everyone had weapons, so it kind of made sense. I agree with you, Kenoshi. I think doing, but not a Warriors game. If they did a Metroid style Battlefront game, like Star Wars Battlefront, but instead of Star Wars, it was Metroid, and like you could play as different factions. You could play as the Federation Marines. You could play as the Space Pirates. You could play as like the different bounty hunters. However, not like mid-tier factions. However, like you couldn't play as Samus. Samus, Ridley, Kraid, Dark Samus. Those are like hero type characters. Like as playing as the normal characters, you like as you defeat opposing enemies and complete objectives on a map. It fills a meter. Once it's full, you can summon your heroic character for like a minute. And they can do cool shit. Like Ridley can destroy the battlefield, or Samus can, fuck people up, or hell, just summon an Omega Metroid to just attack the shit out of people. I don't know. The universe, yeah, yeah, they do. I mean, they Well, that's what I was about to say. They tried to do it with Federation Force, but they kind of fucked up because Federation Force really should have been a home console game, and the limitations of the 3DS kind of made it not what it should have been for what they were trying to do. It's like someone trying to do a 4-star meal, but they only have like $5. It's like, what? I mean, no, but I mean, that's just the analogy I'm using. Basically, they were trying to do something that should have been done. There needs to be an expansion to the Metroid universe where you're seeing it from a different point of view aside from Samus. And Federation Force was a good idea, but everything else behind it, like the execution of that idea, was the worst way you could do it. Which is where, and it kind of sucks because, like I said, Federation Force was a good idea. The execution was fucking terrible. You know? What, the Federation Force was a good idea, but the execution was terrible? There's a lot of games that are like that. Well, the thing is, like I said, Federation Force within and of itself is a good idea. Doing a Metroid spin-off game that is set in the Metroid universe where you see, because basically if all you went on by the games that starred Samus, you would think Samus was doing everything by herself. Samus is just a bounty hunter. She's not even arguably the best bounty hunter in the series. She's just the one that you're following. There's other shit going on in this universe. And yet all you get in the Metroid games with Samus is like hints of it. You don't get like any bigger picture of what's actually going on. You get hints of it. And it's like, yeah. Yeah, but the thing about Mario is that like Mario games are like the story in Mario games is negligible. It's really fucking negligible. Like you could make a Mario game that has no story and no one be like, man, what's my motivation? You don't need a fucking motivation. It's a Mario game. Yeah, but those games are edutainment games. Like a mainline Mario game, 2D or 3D. You don't even need a story for those games because the main gist of a Mario game is the level design and how Mario traverses the environment. It's all about level design and how Mario traverses the environment. But Metroid, especially, even back in the old, like the 2D Metroid games, those are very atmospheric. There's environmental storytelling going on, and it's only gotten better. As a matter of fact, the only real misstep of the modern Metroid era that I would say, nah, y'all fucked up with that one, is Other M. Yeah, they fucked up on that one. I'm not gonna. Kenosha, you got any thoughts on them fucking up with Metroid Other M? Kenoshi, Kenoshi Abominito. Have any thoughts on uh, Nintendo fucking up with Metroid Other M? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think they were trying way too hard to. They were trying too hard in Other M. They were trying to capture. They were trying to do what Prime does and doing it poorly, and they were trying to do what the 2D games do, but doing that poorly. And they couldn't figure out where they wanted to go. And it felt like an angsty teenager. Do I want to hang out with the cool kids or the smart kids? The cool kids or the smart kids? I don't know. I'll alienate both groups and hang out with the geeks. That's basically what Other M felt like. Not that Other M is a bad game. It does expand the story, but I mean, Jesus, that fucking voice acting is so bad. So fucking bad. For people who keep on saying they want to play a Legend of Zelda game where Link talks, go play Metroid Other M, where they give a voice to a protagonist who is normally very stoic and talks very little, and then come back to me with, I want to hear Link talk. No, you don't. No one wants to hear Link say a fucking word. Okay. I mean, I don't think so, because I mean, look, I'm a fan of the original Star Fox, where the talking that they had was gibberish. It was gibberish and subtitles. Like here's how. Yeah. Like this is how Falco sounded in the original Star Fox. Doodum. And Slippy was like, that was what they said, and then you read what they said, and that didn't bother me. So when they had talking in Star Fox 64, I was actually like, well, except for Star Fox, who just sounds like a little fucking brat, every other character sounds interesting, you know? Um, and that didn't bother me. Like, you can have voice acting where it's not like, this is fucking ridiculous. But, I mean, it wasn't even the voice acting, it was the fucking lines. I mean, turning Samus into this spoiled little brat, like, which is, I mean, okay, if you listen to the character, I mean, because here's the thing, you have nothing to go on with Samus except her actions in other games. Now, this woman is a psychotic killer. She like literally she goes psychotic when she's dealing with space pirates. Like, I mean, just some really fucked up shit. Okay, like the first time you play Metroid Prime, the first Metroid Prime, there's like wounded on the battlefield, you know, about to die space pirates, and she just executes them. You fucking execute, fucking, I mean, some psycho killer shit. Okay, and that's the beginning on the bottle ship. In the beginning of the fucking game, you're committing war crimes. I mean, but here's the thing. She doesn't see them like that. She's like, I hate these fucking people. They need to die. They're shit. Okay? She is psychotic. She's a psycho. She's a fucking psycho. And yet, in Other M, she's this little whiny little bitch. I mean, that's basically what she is. I'm Samus Aran. It's like, come on, man. Get the fuck out of here with this shit. They needed like a professional writer to write that script. That's all I'm saying. professional writer who actually played those games. They need much better writing. But anyway, yeah, I could see a Metroid uh, battles type game. I'll tell you what would be a great Warriors crossover. And I'm surprised they haven't done it yet. Fire Emblem. No, I think didn't they do Fire Emblem Warriors? Yeah, that's right, they did. And that game, like, yeah, I mean, that tells you how memorable that fucking game was. I forgot they made it. Well, then shit, I don't know. We're talking about Nintendo franchises that would make a good. Well, Donkey Kong would go great because you could have different environments and shit. You could have different Kongs. You could have. But the thing is, I would rather them make a new Donkey Kong Country, like 3D Donkey Kong Country game, than a Warriors game. I don't know. Let's see what else. Okay, this isn't a Nintendo IP, but what if they did Soul Calibur Warriors? Like, you know. Well, Soul Calibur would actually work because in Soul Calibur, there's not a lot of jumping. Everything is essentially like floor combat. You're just running around in 8 different directions. So it actually makes sense for you to have more of a like. What if instead of making it into its own game, like the Weapon Master mode, like the single player, the Dynamite single player that Soul Calibur games used to have back in the day? What if instead of it being like a like how it used to be back in the day, it's like they have that, but like you fight through, cut down tons and tons of enemies, and then when you face like the enemy commander, it turns into like a one-on-one arena style combat fight, like typical Soul Calibur. Like, you know, Voldo has appeared, so you got to go over there and fight Voldo, that S&M looking motherfucker, and beat his ass. That'd be cool. Yeah, Rock, Colossus, Ivy. Ivy has appeared. It's like, oh shit, Ivy. Of course, I would have to play the game as my personal favorite character after Soul Calibur 2, Mitsurugi. Mitsurugi, remember it. With that terrible sync with their lip sync. Oh man. No, no, I'm not a weeb. I just really like Soul Calibur. What? I am Mitsurugi and just starts laughing. No, what happened was is that our like remember X Play? Yeah, X Play used to have this skit that they brought back several times where they were like they basically had this skit where they put Mitsurugi and some female character on a blind date, but they used their shitty American voice acting localization. So it was just really awkward and ridiculous. He's like, I am Mitsurugi! You know, and it was just like, I was like, this is so, like I played Soul Calibur 2 and I so much that I had to buy another disc because I scratched up the disc so much playing it. But I'm like watching, I'm like, yeah, that is some really bad voice acting, and I'm like, but I still like, even though Mitsurugi has terrible voice acting, like I still love that character. He's like my favorite Mitsurugi. Like my top 5 favorite Soul Calibur characters. Number 1 is Mitsurugi. Number 2 is Taki. Number 3 is Maxi. Number 4 is uh, Keelik, and number 5 is Link. but he's only in 2. So I'm gonna take him out and sub in. My number 5 favorite character is Siegfried, not Nightmare. Siegfried. Okay. Well, I mean, he was Siegfried before, and then when he got Soul Edge, he got corrupted and became Nightmare. But I like him before and after he purged himself of the corruption and gets the Soul Edge. Because really, Siegfried's version of the Soul Calibur looks the most badass. His Soul Calibur looks like, when you say this is a sword of legendary power, I'm like, god damn, that's a badass looking sword. It's badass. It looks badass. And if you're really good at using Siegfried, he's actually pretty badass. Well, I mean, you have to remember the canon Soul Edge can have one host at any given time. And for like 40 or 50 years, it was Siegfried. And then it left his body and went to, like, originally it was Cervantes, then it went to Siegfried, then it's like bounced around to different people. Personally, like I said, I mean, the most iconic version of it is Nightmare. You know, because, I mean, to be fair, the Nightmare version of Soul Edge looks badass as fuck, but I like Siegfried's Soul Edge a little bit better. I mean, Soul Calibur sword a little bit better because I mean it's very interesting how he managed to purify himself and get the quote unquote good version of Soul Calibur, and you know defeat the evil within. That's a pretty cool idea. Um, but I mean, everyone, like almost all of the quote unquote good characters in Soul Calibur get the Soul Edge. Like Jean Hua is supposedly, canonically, is the character who got the Soul Edge and defeated Nightmare in Soul Calibur 2. And Jean Hua, her version of the Soul Calibur looks like shit. So, you know, you know, every character has certain ways they look. And, you know, I'm not a big, you know. Plus, I don't really like Jean Hua. I like characters who hit hard and can knock people out of the ring. That's what hence why I like Maxi, because he has this back kick that he does that can just power kick a motherfucker out of the ring. It's great. It's like, if you like ring outs. I mean, okay, Link, Geralt, and Spawn. Because Spawn is, you know... Well, Spawn is a Hell Spawn, and Hell borders different dimensions, so it kind of makes sense that he could be there. But when they added Darth Vader and Yoda, I was like, what the fuck, man? I mean, I like Darth Vader. Don't get it twisted. I like Darth Vader and I like Yoda. But what the fuck, man? You know. And I had all those games too. I've had, I mean, even though I talk shit about Soul Calibur 3, 4, and 5, I have all of them. So, I mean, I would say it was at its most accessible at 2. I would say 3 is a nice compromise. It's not quite as good as 2, but it's pretty good. But once they started adding super meters and shit, I was like, Soul Calibur doesn't need super meters. No. I mean, finishers are nice, but I mean, Soul Calibur has always been about positioning and direction. Well, I mean, it's about positioning and knowing how to use the system within the game in order to, like, uh, if someone's using a lot of forward striking attacks, you have to learn how to use parries and clashes. That was the big thing in Soul Calibur 2, parries and clashes. But if you mastered that, if someone was spamming attacks, you could parry and fuck them up good. Same thing with using too many horizontal attacks. You could clash and fuck them up good. I mean, that's what made Soul Calibur, the first Soul Calibur, such a great game. I mean, Soul Calibur 2 is such a great game, and Soul Calibur 3 was that you really had to kind of learn the gameplay systems. And then they introduced like all this other weird shit, and I'm like, come on, man, why are you doing this? Why? You're fucking it up for me, man. You're fucking it up for me. But yeah, I mean, the non-Nintendo Dynasty Wars I would like to see is Soul Calibur, because Soul Calibur to me would make a lot of sense. I think it could be a very interesting mechanic where like you're fighting tons of like generic enemies, and then like at the end of that stage you have to fight. It says so and so appeared, and it'll be like Siegfried or Nightmare or Cervantes, and you could have like, instead of doing like where it's like a massive countryside, like a district, it would be just a city or an area, and then like you're at the docks of this city, and you're trying to keep it from being taken over by pirates, and then at the end, like you defeat so many pirates and complete so many objectives, Cervantes appears. You got to fight Cervantes. Like that would be fucking awesome. Would they do it? No, they probably fuck it up because it's Koei Tecmo. Koei Tecmo, watch us as we fuck up basic shit. The only Koei Tecmo Warriors game I've enjoyed playing was their Warriors game. I mean their Fist of the North Star Warriors games. Because I like Fist of the North Star, not because they're good games. What can I say? I'm a fan of Hokuto no Ken. Hokuto Shinken. I like when Kenshiro punches someone with a 100 crack fist and then walks away, and they're like, "Come back here, you bastard!" He's like, "You're already dead," and then their heads explode. I like that shit. Because here's the thing. I came of age, when I really started getting into anime. I came of age during the time when most of the anime that came to America that was translated was that ultra violent, ultra smutty anime. Like there was going to be some titties in there somewhere, and it was going to be ultra violent. Some dude's face was going to explode, and that's just the way it was. Yeah, well, Fist of the North Star. Akira. Akira is one of the most violent animes I had ever seen up to that point. It is really violent. Okay? Especially towards the end where that kid basically mutates, and like his girlfriend, like he has his girlfriend with him, and he mutates and his body crushes her body, and they show her body getting crushed into pulp. It's like, god damn. It's some fucked up shit, man. Yeah. Akira is one of the most iconic anime of all time. As a matter of fact, it has influenced, the scenes in Akira have influenced so many other films. Like, there's shit that you can watch in other live action movies that were influenced by Akira. Okay? But Akira did it first. So you gotta watch the master. It's like Akira Kurosawa, Akira Kurosawa's films have influenced so many other directors that people will watch a movie that's literally a riff off of a Akira Kurosawa film, and they don't get it, and they're like, "Yeah, this would be good." And I'm like, "Look, you should watch the original in order to appreciate what the derivatives of it." And The Magnificent Seven by John Huston is just a riff off of Seven Samurai. That's all it is. It's just a riff off of Seven Samurai. A Fistful of Dollars is a riff off of Yojimbo. So even Star Wars, R2D2 and C3PO's relationship and how they have this bickering kind of curmudgeonly friendship thing going on. That was directly stolen from the Magic Castle, which was directed by Akira Kurosawa. Um, but this is turning into a film, of course. So anyway, yeah, you know, uh, let's do one more film franchise that could be. I mean, one more video game franchise that could be the next Warrior crossover game. I'm taking out Nintendo because really, I mean, yeah, you'd have to completely change how those games play in order to get it to work in the Warriors format. I could see Bomberman. Oh shit! Oh shit! I just had a good one. Mega Man. Mega Man. Mega Man Warriors game. A Mega Man Warriors game could be fucking awesome. Like you could like you know how in the Legend of Zelda one they had like they had those maps, you know, and like in the quest mode where like they had like a map of Wind Waker Island, they had a map of like the old school Zelda, like shit like where you completed objectives in order to get through the map and you got items and shit. Well, what if you basically did like Mega Man where you had like different generations of Mega Man you could play as. Like you could play as the original Mega Man, like Rockman. Then you'd have the X generation, Mega Man X, and then you'd have like the Zero generation with Mega Man Zero, which would be Zero, not Mega Man. Although I think X is in the if I remember correctly, X is there, but he's all fucking like you don't play as X in that game. Like he sacrifices himself in order to seal the Dark Cyber Elf crystal. I don't. The Zero series has a fucking weird ass story. Well, I mean, basically, yeah, he sacrifices himself in order to put down the next generation of Dr. Wily's uh, Maverick virus. But Dr. Wily still comes back anyway, so Mega Man X doesn't even. They can't even give him that fucking win, which is sad. Um, um, so Zero sacrifices himself to destroy Dr. Wily. Like Mega Man, I will say this much about Mega Man 04. The ending is really final and it actually has meaning and it doesn't suffer from we got to keep on bringing back this character every fucking time that the Rockman and X series suffer from. Because Mega Man 4, there is no sequel to that game. There's I mean, it's like really like Mega Man X should have ended at 5. Mega Man the original Rockman is just it's like how many times do we have to keep on bringing back Dr. Wily? Like seriously? Um, I mean, that's what I have to say about Zero is that they did so many and then they ended the shit. But could you imagine the cool shit you could do in a Mega Man crossover game, in a Mega Man Warrior Dynasty Warriors Koei Tecmo style, Muso style game? I mean, the type of shit you could do. I mean, I mean, you could bring in different playable characters. Like, of course, you'd have the you'd have like the Gen 1 Robot Master. So you could have Gutsman beating the shit out of people with his guts punch. You could have Blues, aka Proto Man, Bass, uh, shit, Roll. Yeah, you can have. Well, I don't like Axel. I never liked Axel. I thought Axel was a waste of space. I mean, I know a lot of people are like, okay, you use guns. Big fucking deal, dude. I mean, here's the thing. When everyone else around here has busters and energy swords and you just use 2 fucking guns, seriously, bro? um, no, they're shittier than the buster. That's the thing that kind of sucks about Axel. Yeah. maybe you could, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, that'd be cool. You could earn nuts and bolts and zenny that you could spend to upgrade your character, like buy better parts or put it into research and development to develop better parts. You could have an interesting story. Um, you could bring different characters all throughout the generations. So you could have Dr. Wily, you could have Sigma, you could have Dr. Weil from the Zero timeline. You could even bring in Rockman EXE and Rockman. Uh, who's I forget? Star Force Mega Man. There's some cool shit you could do. I mean, and there's enough lore that you could really pull it off. And since it's a Capcom thing, you could totally bring in crossover characters, like bring in Ryu, because it's Capcom. Bring in Captain Commando and Bionic Commando. Bring in Guile. Why? Because he's got cool music. For America. Sonic Boom. America, fuck yeah, buddy. Anyway, so yeah, those are our choices. We kind of went off the rails, but that's it. You know, sometimes you gotta have a little bit of fun with stuff. You can't just stick with the same thing. Next little bit of news, DOSBox Pure, which is a new version of DOSBox, is designed to be compatible with RetroArch, which is it's a front-end emulator loader that basically you can put it on a Raspberry Pi or a Linux-based PC, and you can basically create the ultimate emulation station. And you know, DOSBox is actually pretty big deal because there's a lot of really awesome games from back in the day that use 486 architecture, which is DOS. And they have not been optimized to run on modern PCs. Well, DOSBox lets you get around that, but DOSBox is a motherfucker to use sometimes. So, you know, having this new build is actually pretty awesome. Now, sometimes you need better software. You know, it's the reason why GOG exists, because there's some games that on Steam run like shit, but you play GOG and it's like, oh, this is fucking awesome. So, you know, like for example, the most stable version of Fallout New Vegas that I've played is the GOG version. The Steam version like runs like shit for me. So, I mean, it's still not that stable, but it runs much better on GOG than Steam. But yeah, DOSBox is awesome. So, you know, with that being said, I mean, you can go and play some of our favorite old school favorites like Oregon Trail, Math Blaster, Frog Fractions. Adventure Quest, Police Quest, Space Quest, and of course, my favorite geographical trivia game, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? That's right, Carmen Sandiego. The game that basically taught you how to use an almanac, which now you can just use Google. But back in the day, we didn't have Google. You had to figure that shit out with an almanac. An almanac that came with the game. So yeah, so now you can play those old ass games with a better emulator. So, you know, there you go, folks. And DOSBox is coming winter of 2020, so that means later on this year. What? Oh, yes. Now, that would be Jon Snow, you know nothing. You know nothing, Jon Snow. Jon Snow the bastard. Yeah. So next we have a little list to get through, which are the best RPGs in PC gaming in 2020. I just thought this would be a good list to go over because no, you can share some of this because some of it is bullshit. So here we go. Number 50. The 50 is Ni no Kuni 2 Revenant Kingdom. Bullshit! Yeah, Ni no Kuni 2 is trash. Ni no Kuni 2 is fucking trash. You know, Ni no Kuni 2 is basically them. Like, the combat system is a shittier version of the Tales series. The story is insipid milquetoast bullshit. The only system that's kind of revolutionary is the kingdom system, but it's basically like a shittier version. It's like a more. It's basically like a bigger 3D version of what you did in the first ActRaiser. You know, I mean, basically everything in this game just feels like shittier versions of what other games have done better. So I disagree with number 50. So scratch that off. Next, Neverwinter Nights 2: Mask of the Betrayer. I'll allow it. Neverwinter Nights 1 and 2 are two really good games. And when you factor in all the mods and shit with player made mods that basically add here's the thing, okay? Neverwinter Nights 2, you can, if you have the PC version of it, you can literally go onto private servers that people have kept up where they essentially have their own adventures, their own worlds that are basically like D&D online, where you can basically just drop in and join other people's adventures and shit, and it turns into like a MMO, but an MMO done right for people who like D&D. It's fucking amazing. So Neverwinter Nights, yes, it is one of the best RPGs on PC. I'll give it up. Hand of Fate 2. Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, it's pretty good. Hand of Fate 2 doesn't really feel like a direct sequel to the original Hand of Fate. It feels like what's the word I'm looking for? A refinement of the formula. You know what I mean? Like an expansion to the original Hand of Fate. But Hand of Fate is a good game. So, and the sequel, it just kind of fixes some things. Like combat is a little bit better. And just, I mean, it's like basically a lot of the issues that I had with the first game, they fix in Hand of Fate 2. So it feels like a refinement of the original Hand of Fate instead of a brand new game. Dwarf Fortress, I haven't played it, but I heard it's really good. And I heard that they're doing a $15 upgrade where they're going to add a visual OS instead of just letters, like QWERTY letters. So, when that comes out, it's going to be awesome because people will be able to get into it. Diablo 3. Yeah, I'm not into Diablo 3. I prefer Diablo 2 and Diablo 1. Yeah, Diablo 3. I mean, the first time you play through it, it's fine, but the subsequent playthroughs of Diablo 3 are not what I would want to do. That's my own personal opinion. Chrono Trigger. Okay, come on, man. We all know Chrono Trigger is good, especially after they patched in the shit that should have been there day one because they fucked up on PC. Yeah, once they added the patches of shit that should have been there day one, it's really good. But here's the thing. Here's how good Chrono Trigger is. Even though they released a shit PC port of Chrono Trigger, that doesn't take away from the base game being fucking amazing. The only game that I will say is better than the original Chrono Trigger or at least on par, not better, but on par with it, is maybe Radiant Historia. Yeah, I'd love a real sequel to Radiant Historia, but you know, it's Atlas, and you know, Atlas got bought by Sega. Well, I mean, Atlas got bought by Sega, and Sega at this point is like they. I mean, are they gonna let Atlas make new IPs, or at least go back to old ones? Who knows? Unless it's Persona, okay. Number 44, Vampire the Masquerade, Bloodlines. It's a Troika game, which is made by the people who used to work at Interplay. It's fucking awesome. It's got sex and vampires and different houses and role playing out of your ass. It's fucking awesome. Everything you could want in an RPG with vampires. You know, look, here's the thing. If I'm playing as a vampire and you have a group of vampires that are all sexy and charismatic, like Dracula on steroids, like the movie version of Dracula who would totally seduce a chick and then bite her and then fuck the shit out of her. You know, look, listen, there's gonna be some sex there. I'm sorry. That's the whole point of Dracula, is that he's dangerous. He's tall, dark, and mysterious. He's totally gonna fuck Lucy. He's totally gonna fuck Lucy. Yeah, look, listen. He fucked Lucy. Dracula fucked Lucy. He fucked the shit out of Lucy. He bit her, turned her, then fucked the shit out of her, okay? Because that's what Dracula does, okay? Dracula is not to be fucked around with, son. But then they have other clans like the Noble Bloods and the Anarchs with Bruja and the crazy motherfuckers who were like hearing voices from beyond, the Malkavians, and of course everyone's favorite sewer dwellers, the Nosferatu, who look like classic vampires, like from the movie Nosferatu. They are not, or sorry, Dampier. They are not, you know, they're not nice people. Then they have Horizon's Gate. I have this game on Steam. It's actually pretty good. It's a RPG with tactics-based, turn-based combat, but it doesn't have your prototypical classes and races. So it's like a fresh new world where different shit can go down. I actually like it. I think it's pretty good. Next we have Kenshi, which I'm not really that into. But I can see why people would like it, because it is a harsh RPG. Like, you can, like, basically you can be grievously wounded where people can cut off all four of your limbs, and you're just a torso rolling around on the ground. It's pretty fucked up. Next we have Avernum: Escape from the Pit. It's a spiderweb software game, so you know, this guy has made all types of shit. And they're all, you know, like Gene Forge and Avedon. So, I mean, Spiderweb has been making really ugly looking party-based CRPGs for years. And I've played quite a few of them. I own quite a few of them. And they're all pretty fun. So, you know, I'll give it a pass. Number 40, The Witcher 2. Yeah, the combat sucks. The choices that you make are pretty nice, how they steep you into the game, but the combat is so bad in The Witcher 2. It's, I mean, I can see why it's on the list, but that combat is just really hard to get over. Like, if you're going to have combat that's that bad, I would rather you just have turn-based combat where you choose an attack and then you do it like that than trying to have real-time combat that's that bad. 39, Six Ages, Ride Like the Wind. It's basically like a spiritual successor of King of Dragon Pass, which is tactics, kind of Age of Empires, civilization type game, but mixed with like set in a fantastical world where there's dragons and orcs and shit. So it's actually pretty good. I like it. Um, Brogue, which is a random generator rogue-like game, so I can see why people like that. Arcanum of Steamworks and Magic Obscura. Imagine a D&D universe set in a world where the Industrial Revolution happened. So you have magic mixed with steam-powered automatons and technology. It's pretty cool. Titan Quest, which is basically, I mean, Titan Quest is essentially kind of like Diablo, but instead of more prototypical combat, it's Greek mythology. Dragon Quest 11 fucking sucks. I'm not going with that. That game is not good. It's a little over engineered and a little over simplistic. Star Traders Frontier is pretty good. Shadowrun Dragonfall. I mean, any game from the Shadowrun Returns series is pretty good. Anachronox also pretty good. Final Fantasy 12 pretty good. I think we'll get to the rest of this in a future video. Well, I mean, I don't want to, because it's 50. We'll get to the other half Wednesday. The other half 30 to number one. With that being said, let's keep it moving so we can finish up early. So with that being said, our next topic. Nintendo is reviving one of its oldest handhelds from the 80s. So yeah, the Game & Watch is coming back, except it's no longer Mr. Game & Watch, and now it's Mario. So you can play the original Mario game on the Game & Watch. I'm probably going to get that. Oh shit. Those sadomasochistic, the original Kaizo Mario. Well, two games for 50 and a watch. Shit, I gotta get it now. Yeah, I won't be playing Super Mario Brothers: The Lost Levels because that's the original Kaizo Mario, and I have no want nor desire to play games that are so fucking hard that it feels like you're being kicked in the nuts. I just don't. Yeah. I mean, and here's the thing. Here's the thing that people don't understand. Even though a lot of people who are, want to be actually Mario fanboys, a lot of the innovations that were added to Doki Doki Panic, aka Mario Brothers 2, in Japan it was called Mario Brothers 2, Mario Brothers USA. A lot of those innovations were carried over into future Mario games. Okay, like they exist. Like a lot of the shit that you take for granted that have become a staple of the franchise didn't exist in the first Mario game. They came about from stealing shit from Doki Doki Panic. Like the exploration and picking up items and carrying them someplace else. Because don't forget, in the original Mario Brothers, you couldn't pick up items. Like if you hit a Koopa and he went to a shell, you could kick his ass and that was about it. Whereas, Mario 2, you could pick a motherfucker up and throw him. You could pick up a key and get chased by an evil mask. There was exploration and secret exits and shit that required more than just, hey, let me jump into this hole. There was actually a little bit more to it. And there actually was a health meter, which, I mean, they didn't bring that back until Mario 64, but there you go. So, yeah. Mario 2 was way more innovative than people gave it credit for. And, yeah, the Lost Levels is just, it's the original Kaizo. I mean, it's basically a troll of it's the original Kaizo Mario Brothers. It's like, oh, you played the shit out of the original Mario Brothers? Well, we've done shit to troll your ass. Ha ha ha! Fuck you. Like that's what Mario Brothers: The Lost Level should be. The Nintendo developers of the first game going, ha ha ha! You played the shit out of this game and aced it? Ha ha ha! Fuck you! Beat this! You know, that's basically what Lost Level should be. Ha ha ha! Fuck you, Mario the game. Presented by Nintendo. Our final topic is Aquafina. Aquafina, who you may know her for singing a rap song about her vagina, and also being an actress in a lot of stuff. She was in that movie that like made gangbusters, Crazy Rich Asians, because she's Asian, whatever. Basically, she was in this commercial that she really wanted to be in because apparently she used to be a fan of she used to be a fan of Donkey Kong Country. She's like, I remember getting my Super Nintendo and it was the best day of my life. I was at school, I couldn't wait to come home to it, and it was the first game that I was actually good at. Yeah, I gotta give her. Look, listen, Donkey Kong Country 1, 2, and 3. You were playing Rare games when they were at the height of their power. I mean, you were playing Rare when they could do no wrong. Like when they were making games that were like competing with Nintendo in terms of quality and level design. So, you know, what can I say, man? Donkey Kong Country, one of the best games ever made. But then the sequel is so much better. Like, how do you top that shit? Rare did it, though. Rare was that good back in the day that they topped one of their best games ever made. Like, think about it, okay? Nintendo made the Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island. But Yoshi's Island, in terms of level design and gameplay, it isn't better than the original Super Mario World. But Rare was able to make a sequel to their game that's better than Donkey Kong Country. It's amazing. But anyway, it's time to move on. Anything you guys want to say about Donkey Kong Country before we move on to our nominating our asshole of the weeks? Kadoshi? All right. Guess it's okay then. Asshole of the week time. Jewel, it's time to nominate our asshole of the week. Okay, go ahead. Ladies first. Okay, here's what I'm going to say. And people, here's all I'm going to say before we go any further. People wonder why I say fuck the Pokemon Company and Game Freak. This is why. Okay? It's shit like this that makes me say fuck this company. Um, Well, I mean, here's the thing. You know, people can write whatever the fuck they want to write. Um, and so I'm not really going to get on Kotaku because it's like here's the thing: it's a review, but it's also their opinion, and if they want to add other shit that's in their opinion on it, could well, I mean, here's the thing, okay? Kotaku hasn't been Kotaku isn't what I would call a respected journalism site. They're basically a popular. They talk about pop culture shit, which is also going to include shit that's going on right now. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't really give a shit either way. But but Game Freak. I mean, I've said this before. Game Freak is fucking up shit that they had fixed last gen and was not an issue. So that they're taking out features so that they can charge you more for shit that was cheaper last gen. So fuck them. That's how I feel about it. Fuck them. Kanoshi, do you have any nominees for asshole of the week? You are the assholes of the week. All right, okay. My asshole of the week, Game Freak, I will admit, is a nominee. But my other nominee is my other nominee is gonna be people who bought the Xbox One and the PS5. I mean, the Sex Box and the PS5 day one. Cause I'm like, why? Like people like, yeah, I bought an Xbox, a Sex Box. Why? There's no first party games. There's no first party games. There's no there's no first party games. The only big thing going on is that uh, I mean, look, to be fair, the cool thing is that there's the Series X S, the Sex Box S, which I mean, conceivably you pay the same price as you would pay for a Nintendo Switch, but you pay $15 more with a Switch. If you want to get a AAA game, you're going to be spending at least $60 or $30 if you get it on sale. So 330 versus 315, and you get access to with the Switch, 330 gets you one game, which is nice. If it's a good game, you're in good shape. But if it's something you regret, it's $30 you're out of. Whereas with the Series XS, I mean, you pay $15 for the month and you get access to hundreds of games. Yeah, a library of games. So I mean, that's a better value proposition. But aside from that, I mean, but most of those are games that if you really wanted those games, you probably already own them on something else. And being able to stream them isn't really like, you know, the end all be all of it being a thing. So basically, what I'm saying is this: the assholes are people who bought these systems day one, and are like bragging about shit that's only marginally better than what we had last gen. There's nothing really like innovative going on here that's like, wow, this is fucking amazing. And inevitably, we're gonna hear some complaints. They're gonna start complaining about shit. And I'm like, why are you complaining? You knew what this shit was. You're like someone going with a dude who tells you, I don't believe in staying with one girl. I wanna fuck everything that moves, and then you act surprised when the dude fucks around. Why'd you do this? The motherfucker told you what he was about when you met him. Shit. But I'm gonna have to go with the first one. I mean the second one, which is people who are. I'm gonna have to go with Kenoshi, so it's gonna be. I'm gonna have to go with Kenoshi on mine. Because Game Freak, I mean, Game Freak ain't been shit for years at this point. Mm. All right. So anyway, yeah. At this point, I mean, basically so the asshole of the week are people who bought these systems early, knowing that they're missing a lot of shit. Um, it just serves no purpose. Um, so yeah. So asshole of the week, people who bought the PS5 and the Xbox day one, early, year one, whatever. Just because, I mean, with Sony, there's a little bit of a mitigating factor because there are some first party exclusives, but literally there's nothing on the Xbox One X that is exclusive. So what's the fucking point of owning it at this point? So with that being said, that's the end of this podcast. Anything you guys want to pimp out before we wrap things up? All right. Jewel, anything you want to pimp out before we wrap things up? All right. So this is Mr. Red Fox. I have over the last few weeks have put out a visual essay. The first one was my ideal Fallout game, and the second one was my ideal Elder Scrolls game. I think next week I will start working on my new series, which will be my ideal Shadowrun game. Um, and the first two series I will basically condense into one video where I'll chain them together so that you can watch them as one long form essay for those of you who care to watch them. So with that being said, that's the end of this video. Rate, comment, share, subscribe. If you would like to reach me, you can reach me at mrredfoxbsbusters at gmail.com, or you can reach me at Matthew Wesley at mrredfox91, or you can reach me at Discord. There's a link to the Discord in the description. So with that being said, that's the end of the podcast.